Thank you for joining us for this Maundy Thursday and Good Friday service. This is one of the high holy times in the life of the church. A time of celebration, but of a very odd thing. Because what we are celebrating is the betrayal and death of our God. But we celebrate it not because we rejoice in the pain that Jesus went through, but we rejoice in his reason for going through it, which is his love for you and for me. Tonight we observe a service of Tenebrae, a service of darkness, because we know and we profess that when the light of God shone into our world, we snuffed it out. And so we will observe those traditions that remind us of our betrayal of Christ and his love for us. Our altar will be stripped of all the elements of worship we traditionally have on there, as a reminder that we abandoned God. We'll have a time of scripture, we'll have a time of prayer, and we'll have traditional reflections at the cross. Come with me on this journey to the cross of Jesus Christ. After he had said these things, Jesus went out with his disciples and crossed over to the other side of the Kidron Valley. He and his disciples entered a garden there. Judas, his betrayer, also knew the place, because Jesus often gathered there with his disciples. Judas brought a company of soldiers and some guards from the chief priests and Pharisees. They came there carrying lanterns, torches, and weapons. Jesus knew everything that was to happen to him, so he went out and asked, "Who are you looking for?" They answered, "Jesus the Nazarene." He said to them, "I am." Judas, his betrayer, was standing with him. When he said, "I am," they shrank back and fell to the ground. He asked them again, "Who are you looking for?" They said, "Jesus the Nazarene." Jesus answered, "I told you I am. If you are looking for me, then let these people go." This was so that the word he had spoken might be fulfilled. "I didn't lose any one of those whom you gave me." Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus told Peter, "Put your sword away. Am I not to drink the cup the Father has given me?" So they took Jesus, and carrying the cross by himself, he went out to what is called the place of the skull, which in Hebrew is called Golgotha. There they crucified him, and with him 2 others, one on either side, with Jesus between them. Pilate also had an inscription written and put on the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." Many of the Jews read this inscription because the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew and Latin and in Greek. Then the chief priest of the Jews said to Pilate, "Do not write, 'the King of the Jews,' but this man said, 'I am King of the Jews.'" Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts, one for each soldier. They also took his tunic. Now the tunic was seamless, woven in one piece from the top. So they said to one another, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, to see who will get it." This was to fulfill what the scripture says, "They divided my clothes among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots." And that is what the soldiers did. Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his own home. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill the scripture, "I am thirsty." A jar full of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of the wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour content on all my pride. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flowing down. Did such love and sorrow me, both thorns compose so rich a